The birthday dinner, the office celebration, the trip everyone talked about for months.
She laughed. She was present. She was real.
But if you open Instagram right now and search her name, nothing.
Selfies, no check-ins, no trace of a life that clearly exists.
You ask a mutual friend about her. Oh, she just doesn't like social media. But something about that answer doesn't sit right with you. Because in 2025, a world where even grandmothers post daily, to be invisible isn't normal. So what is she hiding? Or more unsettling, what does she know that the rest of us don't?
Here's what psychology actually says. Some of it is darker than you'd expect.
Most people post without thinking. A meal, a mirror, a moment. It feels natural, because biologically it is. Every time you share something and receive a like, your brain releases dopamine. Same chemical triggered by gambling, sugar, and addiction. Social media didn't accidentally become addictive. It was engineered to exploit this loop. But people who never post, their brains work differently. Rather, they've rewired differently. Psychologists call this a high privacy orientation, a deep internal drive to control exposure. These individuals don't just prefer privacy. They need it to function at full capacity. Research suggests this trait often develops as a psychological defense mechanism, built quietly over time. People who were once burned by exposure. Betrayal, judgment, a humiliation they never fully discussed. They didn't choose invisibility out of shyness. They chose it because they learned, sometimes painfully, the world doesn't always deserve access to them. There's a psychological concept called self-concept clarity, how well-defined and consistent your sense of self actually is. Studies show that people with high self-concept clarity share less on social media. Not because they're closed off, but because they don't need external confirmation to know who they are. Think about what most social media posts really are. They're questions disguised as statements. Does this look good? Am I interesting enough? Do you see me?
People who never post have already answered those questions. Internally.
They've built an identity that doesn't collapse when no one's watching. Psychologists call the opposite contingent self-esteem, a fragile self-worth that rises and falls with every reaction, every view, every comment. The person who never posts has escaped that trap. Attention is not the same as worth. Now let's go deeper, into the biology. Humans are a social species. Our brains are wired for status monitoring, constantly calculating where we stand in the group hierarchy. This isn't a choice. It's evolutionary hardware running in the background 24/7.
Social media supercharged this system in a way evolution never prepared us for.
Suddenly, you're not competing with 150 people in your tribe. You're being measured against millions, every single day.
The result? Chronic activation of the brain's threat detection system. Elevated cortisol. Baseline anxiety. A nervous system that never fully relaxes.
But the person who doesn't post, they've opted out of the comparison engine. Their cortisol isn't spiking every time someone they knew in high school buys a new car. Their nervous system isn't on constant alert, waiting for social feedback. Research links chronic social comparison to depression, distorted body image, and reduced life satisfaction, effects as measurable as those from sleep deprivation. The invisible person isn't missing out on life. They're protecting their biology from a threat most people don't even see coming. Psychologists measure something called locus of control, whether you believe your life is shaped by your own choices or by external forces. Who don't post their progress, because progress isn't for an audience. There's a reason the most psychologically grounded people you've ever met often have the quietest online presence. It's not an accident, it's a pattern. The less noise they create outward, the more clarity they operate withinward. Festinger's social comparison theory, developed in 1954, long before social media existed, predicted exactly this.
Humans instinctively measure their lives against others. Not because we're shallow, because comparison was once a survival tool.
But social media turned that survival tool into a weapon pointed at ourselves.
Every scroll is a comparison. Every post is a judgment. And the brain can't tell the difference between a real social threat and a stranger's vacation photo.
People who don't post understand, consciously or not, that they are opting out of a psychological war they cannot win. Because in a war of curated highlight reels, reality always loses. They chose peace, not because they gave up, because they saw clearly. So the next time you come across someone with no photos, no updates, no digital footprint, don't assume they're hiding. Don't assume they're sad. Don't assume they're lost. They might be the most psychologically intact person in the room. Grounded where others are anxious, clear where others are scattered, free where others are trapped. They don't need to be seen, to feel seen. And in a world addicted to performance, that's not just confidence, that's psychological power.
Now I want to hear from you. Are you someone who posts your life online? Or do you keep it private? And be honest, do you think your answer says something about you that you've never fully admitted?
If this kind of analysis cuts through the surface and gets to what's really happening inside the human mind, hit subscribe and turn on the bell.
Because on this channel, we don't just scroll through people's lives. We decode their